Assalamu alaikum, all my dear students. Hope you are all doing good. We shall start with the embryology lecture. Today we are going to discuss the development of the muscular system. In this lecture, you are going to discuss the development of the three different types of muscles, the development of skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscles. They are basically mesodermal in origin, while we have some exceptions to this. At the end of the lecture, you should be able to know what is somite, what is sclerotome, dermatome, myotome, what is the regulation of molecular regulation of muscle development, how are muscles patterned, and some clinical correlates. As you guys already know that there are three different types of muscles: skeletal muscles, which are voluntary in nature, smooth muscles or the visceral muscles, which are involuntary in nature, and cardiac muscle, which is also involuntary and present in the heart and major blood vessels. So to begin with an overview of the development of muscular system, the muscle starts to develop in the fourth week of intrauterine life. The beginning cells are known as the myoblast. Most of the muscles develop from the mesodermal germ layer, and this is the paraxial and splanchnic mesoderm which give rise to the different types of muscles. We have some exceptions to this. There are a few muscles have ectodermal origin, which are the pupillary muscles, muscles of the mammary gland, and muscles in the sweat gland. So students, we noted that most of the muscles develop from the mesodermal germ layer. Going back to your knowledge of embryology, which you did, that in third week of development, 3 germ layers are formed. In picture number A, you can see ectoderm, the blue colored layer, then mesoderm, the red color, and the yellow one is the endodermal germ layer. These 3 layers of the embryo. The mesodermal germ layer, it is going to form 3 parts just close to the notochord. The part is known as the paraxial mesoderm. Then you have an intermediate mesoderm and the lateral plate mesoderm. The paraxial mesoderm, it is going to form segmented series of tissue blocks on each side of the neural tube. These blocks are known as somatomeres in the head region and somites in the occipital region downwards. Somites, the somite is shown by the red arrow. Somites are further going to differentiate into sclerotome and dermomyotome and give rise to the constituents of your musculoskeletal system. So by the beginning of the third week, the paraxial mesoderm on each side of the neural tube is organized into segments. These segments are known as somatomeres, and they first appear in the cephalic region of the embryo, and from where they are going to proceed cranially upwards and caudally downwards. Each somatomere consists of a mesodermal cells that are arranged in concentric circular whorls around a center. In the head region, the somatomeres form in association with the neural plate, and they are known as neuromeres. They contribute towards the mesenchyme of the head. From occipital region downwards, the somatomeres are organized into somites. The first pair of somite arises in the occipital region of the embryo on day 20th. This is very important. It usually comes in the MCQ. The first pair of the somites is visible in the occipital region, and it is visible on day 20th. And from here on, the new somites appear in the cranial and caudal direction. They appear at a rate of 3 pairs are formed each day. Until the end of the 5th week, 42 to 44 pairs. There are total 42 to 44 pairs of somites present. 4 in the occipital region, 8 in the cervical region, 12 in the thoracic, 5 in the lumbar, 5 in the sacral, and 8 to 10 in the coccygeal region. The first occipital and the last 5 to 7 coccygeal somites are going to disappear. And with the help of the somites, you can also determine the age of the embryo. This is a revision of your knowledge. In these pictures, you can see, in the first one, you can see the notochord, neural tube, and along both sides of the neural tube, the paraxial mesoderm has differentiated into somites. The somites can be seen well visualized on each side of the neural tube. And in the second diagram, you can see the vertical going neural tube and somites along each side of the neural tube. So briefly, we can say that the origin of skeletal musculature in the head region is from the somatomeres. while the skeletal muscles of the skeleton from the occipital region to the sacral region and of the limbs and body wall is derived from the somites, the paraxial mesoderm of the somites. So when the somites have formed from the presomatic mesoderm, they exist in a form of ball. Thus, the ball of cells undergo epithelialization and arrange itself in a donut-shaped form around a small lumen. By beginning of the 4th week, the cells in the ventral and medial walls of the somite lose their epithelial character and they become mesenchymal again. These mesenchymal cells surround the neural tube and the notochord. These cells are collectively known as the sclerotome, which is going to differentiate into bone and cartilage. It is going to give you vertebrae and ribs. Cells at the dorsomedial and ventrolateral lips of the somites is going to form the precursor for the muscle cells. This is the region, dorsomedial lip and the ventrolateral lip of the somite. These are the muscle forming areas. And the region between these two lips is going to form the dermatome, which is going to give you the skin. So each myotome and dermatome retain its original innervation, which was the innervation of the segment, no matter where the cell migrate. Each somite forms its own sclerotome, which is going to give you the tendon, cartilage and bone component, its own myotome, which is going to provide the segmental muscle component, and dermatome, which is going to form the dermis of the back. Each myotome and dermatome has its own segmental nerve component. So this is a picture taken from your Langman. In part A, you can see epithelial cells arranged in form of a donut oval concentric arrangement of cells with a small lumen inside. This is known as a somite. It is present on each side of the neural tube, developing neural tube. By the beginning of the 4th week, the ventral and medial walls of the somite, they lose their epithelial character and become mesenchymal cells again. These mesenchymal cells are collectively known as sclerotome, and these cells are going to further surround your neural tube and notochord. This is the sclerotome component of the somite. While the ventrolateral and dorsomedial lips of the somite, they form the muscle precursor cell. They are the myotome region, the muscle forming region, dorsomedial and ventrolateral. While the part between these two lips is the dermatome, which is going to form the skin. Some of the cells some of the muscle cells become mesenchymal and they migrate beneath the dermatome to create a dermomyotome. In addition, some cells from the ventrolateral edge migrate into the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. They are going to cross a barrier, imaginary barrier that is labeled here in the B diagram as lateral somatic frontier. Some of the cells, mesenchymal cells from the ventrolateral muscle precursor cells are going to cross this barrier and enter into the lateral plate mesoderm. These are going to form the musculature of the body wall and most of your limb muscle. They are going to give you the muscles of the body wall, including the external, internal, oblique, transversus, abdominis, and muscles of your upper limb and lower limb. While the cells in the dermomyotome are going to form the dermis of the back and muscles for the back and body wall, intercostal muscles and some limb muscles. So these are the further pictures of the previous one. Here you can see the sclerotome, the mesenchymal cells that form the sclerotome. They are surrounding the neural tube and the notochord. The muscle precursor cells forming myotome, and some of the muscle precursor cells are going to cross the lateral frontier, somatic frontier, and they're going to form your muscles of limbs. And the dermatome and the dermomyotome is going to form the muscles of the back. The latest or the modern concept regarding the muscle precursor origin is that the muscle precursor which cross the lateral somatic frontier, which is a border between the somite and the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm, the muscle precursor cells which cross this frontier, they comprise the abaxial muscles. And these muscle precursors are going to give you the muscles of the upper limb and lower limb and the body wall, while the muscle precursor cells which do not cross this frontier, they are called prime axial muscle precursor, and they are going to form your axial skeletal muscle. The abaxial muscle precursor are going to form your infrahyoid muscle, muscles of the abdominal wall, external oblique, internal oblique, rectus abdominis, transversus abdominis, and muscles of the upper limb and lower limb. While the prime axial muscle precursor, they are going to give you the extensor muscles of the back, muscles of the shoulder girdle, and intercostal muscles. Now, considering the older concept, which was based on the innovation, the new concept is based on the origin of the muscle precursor, while the older concept was based on the innovation. The epimeric muscles, or the muscles of the back, which receive the dorsal primary rami of the spinal nerve, while the hypomeric muscles are the muscles of the limb and the body wall, they are supplied by the ventral primary rami of the spinal segment. This is a picture from your Langman showing the older concept, which was abaxial and the hypaxial muscle. The abaxial muscles are the muscles of the back, and they are supplied by the dorsal primary rami of the spinal nerve segment, while the hypaxial muscles are the muscles of the body wall and the limbs, and they are supplied by the ventral primary rami. So this is a picture from your Keith-L Moore. It shows different muscles developing in the developing human. You can see the abaxial muscles being supplied by the dorsal primary rami, while the muscles of the upper limb and the muscles of the trunk hypaxial muscles being supplied by the ventral primary rami. Now we are going to discuss the molecular regulation of the muscle development. We are going to discuss which genes are involved in the differentiation of somite into sclerotome, myotome, dermatome, and which are the muscle precursor genes. So to begin with, sonic hedgehog and noggin secreted by the notochord and floor plate of the neural tube, they cause the ventral part of the somite to form sclerotome and to express PAX1 gene, which in turn controls chondrogenesis and vertebral formation. WNT and low concentration of sonic hedgehog from the dorsal neural tube activates PAX3, which demarcates the dermomyotome. WNT protein also directs the dorsomedial lip of the somite to form the muscle precursor cells and to express the muscle specific genes MYF5. MYF5 is the gene for the muscle precursor cells. The dermatome portion of the somite is directed to become dermis by neurotrophin 3 genes, the dorsal neural tube, while the combination effect of activating effect of WNT proteins and inhibitory effect of BMP4 activates MYOD gene in ventral region of the somite to form the muscle precursor cells. Now we are going to discuss how the skeletal muscle develop, how it is formed in its original shape, which we view in our usual routine. So the mesenchymal cells, as we have seen in the previous slide, they are stimulated by the myogenic genes, the MYF5 and myoid genes. They are stimulated to form the myoblasts, the muscle cells. These myoblasts are going to fuse with one another, and this is going to form long cylindrical tubes. Their plasma membrane is going to disappear. The intervening plasma membranes are disappear, and this is going to form long cylindrical tubes with multinucleated tubes. These are known as myotubes. Later on, by the third month, the contractile proteins begin to appear in these myotubes, and these contractile proteins are going to give it a cross-striated appearance, which we see in the usual skeletal muscle, and by the end of the third month, the myofibrils become visible. Regarding the patterning of the skeletal muscles, we know that the patterning of the muscles is controlled by the connective tissue into which the myoblasts are going to migrate, and the connective tissue in the different region is derived from different sources. In the head region, the connective tissue is derived from the neural crest cells. Majority of the neural connective tissue is derived from the neural crest cells. In the cervical region and the occipital region, the connective tissue is derived from the somatic mesoderm, while in the body wall and the limbs, the connective tissue is derived from the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm, and the muscle migrate into these connective tissue, and this is going to pattern the muscles. The skeletal muscle in the head region, most of the skeletal muscles, the voluntary muscles of the head region, are derived from the paraxial mesoderm, which is of somatomeres and somites, and including the muscles of the tongue and eye. Except some muscles of the iris, the dilator and the constrictor pupillae, which are derived from the ectoderm, while some muscles of the head and neck region are derived from the pharyngeal arches. Patterns of the muscle formation in the head region is directed by the connective tissue, which we have told that it is derived from the neural crest cells. This diagram shows the musculature in the head and neck region derived from the somatomeres and myotomes that form from the occipital region caudally down in the embryo. You can see the eye muscle, the muscles are derived from the pharyngeal arches and from the myotome regions of the somites. So now talking about the development of the limb musculature, the first indication of the limb musculature is observed in the 7th week of intrauterine life as condensation of mesenchyme near the base of the limb buds. The mesenchyme is derived from the ventral lateral lip of the somites. The mesenchyme will still migrate into the limb bud to form the muscles. As like in all the other regions, the connective tissue dictates the pattern of the muscle formation, and this tissue is derived from the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. This is also going to give rise to the bones of the limb. The upper limb bud in the embryo develops opposite the lower 5 cervical and the upper 2 thoracic segments, and into these limb bud the mesenchyme is going to enter and form the limb musculature, while the lower limb bud develops opposite the lower 4 lumbar and the upper 2 sacral segments, and this is in this limb bud the mesenchyme is going to migrate and give you the limb musculature. Regarding the development of the cardiac muscles develop from splanchnic mesoderm. Splanchnic mesoderm is the one that surrounds the developing heart tube. Myoblasts form, and myoblasts are going to adhere to one another. They are going to retain their plasma membrane in differentiation with the skeletal muscle, in which the myoblasts used to unite with one another. The intervening plasma membranes disappeared and it gave rise to a multinucleated myotubes. Here the myoblasts remain adhered to one another by specialized attachment known as the intercalated disc. Myofibril develop in these muscles just like they develop in the skeletal muscle. Actin and myosin proteins are going to develop here as well, giving it a striated appearance. However, myoblasts do not fuse with one another in the cardiac muscles. During later development, a few special bundle of muscle cells have irregular arrangement and distribution of the myofibrils. These bundles are going to form the Purkinje fibers, which are the conducting system of the heart. Regarding the smooth muscles, the smooth muscle present in the GI wall, in the intestinal tract wall, are derived from the splanchnic mesoderm. While smooth muscles in the sphincter and dilator pupillae, they are an exception. They are derived from ectoderm. And the muscles in the mammary gland and sweat gland, they are also derived from the ectodermal layer, not from the mesodermal layer. While the smooth muscle present in the blood vessels in the aorta and large artery, it is derived from the lateral plate mesoderm and some contribution from the neural crest cells. While the smooth muscles present in the coronary artery, it is derived from the proepicardial organ and from the neural crest cells. Now we are going to discuss some important clinical correlates with the muscle development. So first of all, we are going to discuss the Poland sequence. This sequence occurs in 1 in 20,000 individual. It is characterized by absence of pectoralis minor and partial loss of pectoralis major. Usually it's sternal head. Nipple and areola are displaced. There is often some congenital anomaly with the digits associated with it. It can be syndactyly, which is the fusion of digits, brachydactyly, which is short digits on the affected site. There is disfiguring in nature, and this can be problematic for the females as the breasts are poorly developed. So the prune belly syndrome. In the prune belly syndrome, there is partial or complete absence of the abdominal musculature. The skin is loose and wrinkled just like a prune. Prune is a dried plum. I have shown you in the top right corner the picture of a prune. So in the absence of the abdominal musculature, the overlying skin of the abdomen is thin and wrinkled. You can easily visualize the underlying abdominal organs. And in this defect, there are some associated malformation of the urinary tract, including the urethral obstruction. This may cause accumulation of fluid and distension of the abdomen, resulting in atrophy of the abdominal muscle. There may be associated problems in the diaphragm and As the diaphragm is weak, there is respiratory disturbances. Another congenital anomaly is the torticollis or the wry neck. Torticollis is a Latin word which comes from tortus, which means twisted, and collum, which means necks. It is characterized by lateral inclination of the head to the shoulder, with torsion of the neck and deviation of the face. This is called wry neck, and this is due to the malformation of the muscles in the neck, sternocleidomastoid. So now coming on to muscular dystrophies. Muscle dystrophy is a group of inherited disorders that cause progressive loss of muscle, wasting of muscle, and muscular weakness. A number of diseases come under the heading of muscular dystrophies. The most common is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It occurs in 1 in 4,000 male births. It is an X-linked recessive trait, so male children are more affected than female. Another is a Becker muscular dystrophy. In both Duchenne and Becker muscular dystrophy, the dystrophin gene is affected. There is mutation in the dystrophin gene which is present on the X chromosome. There is no presence of dystrophin protein. This protein, cytoplasmic protein, links the cytoskeleton to the extracellular matrix. So now we have come to the end of the lecture. Thank you so much, students, for listening to me carefully and with patience. I would like you all to revise this topic, and if you have any queries, you are free to ask me anytime you want. Thank you very much.